Hello everyone, I'm James. Welcome to this market update. Quick update, roundup, and an announcement at the end. So I'm not going to take too long. It's Sunday, it's family time. We should all be with our families, but of course the markets are important. I've got the Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and metals charts in front. So let's begin with those. And as you can see, Ethereum, XRP, and Bitcoin have all gone up pretty high. And I think what I really just want to say on this chart, and I'm a Bitcoin maximalist, so kind of everything that's going to happen to Bitcoin will happen to the others too. And my biggest bets are on Bitcoin. So I've drawn a path and here I've put this up on X. I want you to go and have a look at it. And it's a traditional linear study, assuming that we get no parabolic moves from here. When I say that, I don't mean we can't get a short-term parabolic move to take us up to the top of the channel. Let me show you. This is a weekly chart. And I want you to just sort of study this and have a look at it and see what the implications are for your portfolio. This is what I think could happen without any sort of parabolic acceleration beyond here. We've got a big rising channel, as you can see, the beige one. And within that, we've got a rising wedge pattern too. And I've drawn a sort of traditional trajectory, which would take us up to pretty high, around about 150 in the next few weeks, all the way back to where we are in the third quarter of this year, which was traditionally weak for Bitcoin and crypto, etc. And then a rally towards the end of the year and petering out as we fold over towards the top of this rising wedge. And then a move all the way back down to where we are currently, maybe fractionally higher. That would be about a 50% pullback, which is in line with the diminishing pullbacks that we've seen in Bitcoin, and this rally is in line with the diminishing returns. I think this is a reasonable path, and if you're going to plan your Bitcoin, perhaps you want to look at something like this, and it is just very simple, traditional. I've also got some Fibonacci projections on here, and you'll see that there's a lot that line up in the 150 to 170 area. There's a confluence of two Fibonacci projections, and the top of this channel sort of projection that we're looking at too, or the rising wedge. So an interesting area, 150 to 170. Could we see this sort of thing and then a rollover into next year, like we saw at the beginning of this year, for a pullback back down to the bottom of this very long-term channel, all the way back down to where we are currently. So an interesting idea, and I think we could follow, and I think this is probably my most interesting projection so far this year, and I think this is quite reasonable. So that's where we are currently on the weekly chart. And in order to get just to the top of the rising wedge, forget the channel top, which is miles above us, we have to have a sort of an interim parabolic move, a short-term sharp short squeeze. Let's look at that on the day chart. You can see the results of the breakout of that bull flag. We've moved up to the 50% projection, and there are further projections above us. I'm just going to zoom in and have a look above us. So there's the rising wedge top, the purple line which I drew earlier on the weekly chart. It's also the center of the channel line, the larger channel, and that's also a very important resistance zone. Let me try and illustrate that there. That's the dotted line that you can see running down the center of this larger channel, and it also coincides with the top of that rising wedge and the Fibonacci extension cluster right up here. So I think that's a reasonable target, 154 to about 174. And in order to get there, let's have again another look. We'd have to move up pretty sharply from here. And once again, I'm just going to have to zoom in. I'll give you a time projection even. And we could reach the top of the channel, or the rising wedge rather, at around about 150 as soon as the 5th of August. So that's just around the corner. So that's my projection of Bitcoin. Will Bitcoin dominance start to falter a bit at this point, and we'll see some of the altcoins sort of outpacing Bitcoin? I don't know. It's sort of trying to sort of shape up that way. We've got longs on XRP and Ethereum as well. And this one's broken out beautifully. I added a new tranche halfway up Friday's rally, so we got a little bit more on over there. But this is another classic breakout of a very large bull flag, and then a breakout of a skinnier bull flag at the top of the larger bull flag. And we hugged the top of the channel, eventually broke out. We spoke about this hugging the top of the channel many times over the last couple of weeks, and now we've eventually broken out, as I suggested we probably would. And we're moving up very rapidly and very nicely. My target on XRP is above $5. My target for Bitcoin, as I showed you earlier, about 150 to 170 in the next few weeks. And then Ethereum, I don't know, that'll follow suit. I guess just back up to the top of the range at 4,000 at least. That's right, back up here just above 4,000. And then we'll have to see what happens. We've got a triple top there. If we can break above there and close above there, it would be incredibly bullish for Ethereum. So that's all the cryptos. We're still long on gold, and we are looking to buy silver. We don't have a position on that just yet, after having got out of our long at break even when it was starting to falter. But we do have a long position on gold. In fact, a good position now, and that's looking like it's trying to hold the trend line and break up higher. My target for gold is about 3,800, 4,200, and then who knows? We have blue sky above us. And then, as I said, I'm looking to buy dips into silver. This has been amazing. We've profited from the long side of silver many times over this last rally, but we haven't got this last piece. We sort of missed out on this one. So I'm looking to buy on any dips back down to about I don't know, $37.20, maybe a little bit lower, and even perhaps back down to the breakout area with a bit of luck. That would be a gift. If we can get that price on silver, I'll definitely be buying at about $34.50. So keep an eye on that level. And then I'm going to go across to currencies, just dribbling down the euro really, and not very, very much momentum. And this really looks like a bull flag once again, just dripping back down. We probably get down to the breakout area here of the previous swing high and that breakout zone. So expect to pull back down to about 1.1580 and maybe a little bit of a dip. The 50-period moving average is down here. There's another swing low. So maybe at 1460. But any dips into here should be good for the euro to go up. Same with the pound. We're already long on the pound. We put another tranche on Friday, getting long at the 50-period moving average and the rising trend line. And it's just dipped down a bit, but I think that'll hold. Previous swing high, previous swing low, 50-period moving average, rising trend line, and it's also a 50% retracement of that little move up. So, yeah, long on the pound, nothing on the euro, looking to get long on that later on. We have a long on the Australian dollar against the US dollar, and that one's looking pretty good. We've now reached the end of the symmetrical pattern. If you've been watching my videos and following me on X, you'll know where we are on this pattern, and we had to get to like the end of this month, or beginning of July rather, end of June, in order to complete the symmetry. We got long when it was not symmetrical, we got long again when it was almost symmetrical, and now we should have liftoff next week. It's an inverse head and shoulders, squiggly bracket, upside down squiggly bracket. And that's all we got on currencies. Oh, no, we don't. We have shorts on the euro yen and the pound yen. That one's drifting up. We're mostly hedged on the euro yen. I don't have our position points on there, but you can see my positions on the pound yen. GJ, as the hip young traders like to call it. I call it the pound against the Japanese yen, as we should, in long form, not GJ. Just joking. So, yeah, we're short on those. I'm looking for big moves down on both of those of about 2,000 pips, and we've talked about that many times as well. Now, going across to stocks, I'm long on the NASDAQ still, and although a lot of people are calling for tops here, I don't see any evidence of it. We've still got the channel center line we haven't even reached, and my blob. Then we've got the top 200 period Bollinger Band, which we've still got to get to. And normally, when we bounce off the bottom like this so aggressively, we swing right up in, even if you might consider it an overcorrection, back up to the top Bollinger Band, and we still got to get to 23,500, and then even the top of these channel lines above us. So all sorts of targets above, and my pink blob is probably where I think we're going, and I think we're bullish on the markets again now. So we're long at my green arrow. We have a couple of hedge positions. You might as well just ignore those because I got hedged almost immediately, so there's just sort of a tiny, tiny floating loss, and those are basically costing me overnight, so I'm going to get rid of those. So we're long from there, and targets up here somewhere, either the channel center line at 23,200-ish, and if we keep on at this angle, we could get to the top of this shorter term channel, 24,000 at around about the end of July, and then 25,000 and some change into August, towards, so August. I don't know. That's kind of the way it looks right now. We do have a long position on that. I don't have any positions on the S&P apart from a hedged position, much long, lower below us. But the S&P kind of looks like we might have to sell it. So we're long on the NASDAQ, and I may have to hedge considering the condition of the market and the situation and the valuations of stocks and the jitters and the politics and the wars. I might have to just sell this at the underside of this under-over trend line as a hedge to my long NASDAQ. I haven't thought about this just yet, and there's no clear evidence that this is reversing at the moment, although it's not looking particularly strong. I favor the next move will be a breakout through the top of that trend line, and we'll be back above the top of it again. So over, under, and maybe back over again. So that's the S&P, but it's maybe worth having a short right there at that inflection point. German 30 we have no trades on. I'm looking to get long on QBTS. I marked this out in the last video. Keep an eye on this level down here. That's my idea. Closing the gap. We got long there, and then we got out, and we got short at the top. We got out, and I'm looking to rebuy on a retest of this rising channel and a closure of that gap. We did try to close the gap, but it was incomplete. So I think we're going to have to try again, as the market thinks as well. Heading straight back down there like a rabbit back down a hole, saying, where's that gap? I need to fill it. We're long on MSTR, but we did hedge some of it at the top here, or took profit rather. Hedge, take profit. Interchangeable terms in a sense, in my way, in my sort of trading world. But we got in at the bottom there, and we took some off there. We took half of our profits, On this occasion, I just took profit. I didn't hedge, actually. And so we're keeping the rest of it on, the other half. And the target's way up above here. Who knows how far this can get up? First of all, the top 200 period Bollinger Band at around about 500. There's also a key Fibonacci retracement level here. That's the 78.6% at 472. Very, very key level. And then, of course, the top of the range again, all the way back up to 543. And then a breakup to the rising under-over trend line like we were talking about on the previous instrument. So there you go. Long on that. And we're also long on Tesla. And Tesla performed the most beautiful abandoned baby reversal pattern, which you only see about once or twice a year across the markets. And we've seen that on Tesla. It's a very powerful reversal pattern. And we didn't know it was going to form like this when I got long at the bottom. But it gapped up the next day, left the abandoned baby behind. Some might call that an island reversal. Abandoned baby, similar, but abandoned baby is just sort of one candle. We do have a cluster. So island, abandoned baby, beautiful move up. We've got to get through those moving averages, by the way, on Tesla. There's a lot of traffic right here. Look at that. 50, 20, 200, all on top of each other, and that Fibonacci resistance level. So, and of course, this previous swing low, etc., and swing high. So really difficult level to get through at around about 320 for Tesla. But I think if everything goes well and the markets keep moving up as they are, that should be okay. Now, I wanted to get long on ARK K again. We haven't had the chance. Looking to buy dips back down to the channel. That's the innovation fund, Cathy Woods. Some of your investors will be very pleased with this nascent beginning off the bottom of what was almost a 90% loss on her shares. And then NVIDIA, we reached the top 200 period Bollinger Band, and it may be time to short NVIDIA. I don't want to be shorting this really. I want to be buying it. And I want to be buying it closer to 153, the rising 20-period moving average, and the top of the previous double top breakout zone. So we do need a breakout pullback, and this might be the ideal place for us to just get a retracement, a mean reversion, if you will, or a breakout pullback trade just to the top of the breakout area. I'll draw that in for you just to see what so you can see what it looks like, something like that. Should be in green, and I'll make it in green just for your edification. So something like that. And maybe this is a great area if you want to scalp a short on here, or if you think NVIDIA is going down much further and this is a longer term reversal, you might actually still consider this area to be an excellent area or opportunity to sell. I don't know if I will or won't, but I do know one thing. I would like to hedge this long NASDAQ with something, and maybe it'll be a short S&P, a short German 30, or a short NVIDIA. One of them, maybe not all of them, maybe two of them. This is the German 30 play I'm looking for. And we've stayed within this channel for about 2 or 3 years now, and we reached the top again for the third time. We sold on both of these events. We sold there. This was the best one, and we got all the way down. That was, of course, with Trump's Liberation Day stuff, and then we had the Iran invasion and so on. The second occasion, not quite as good, only about a third of that move, but we got short on both occasions. And then we also got long at the bottom on the dip down to the 50. We got out of the 20. So we've traded the hell out of this one and done really, really well. The next move I'd like to see is a move back up to the top of the channel. We didn't quite get there. We tried, but didn't. And maybe even a poke through it to the top 200 period Bollinger Band and the Fibonacci resistance level, the 78.6 here at 25,800. So somewhere around here, I'd like to give it a go of shorting the inside of the top of the channel, and a breakout could take us up to the top 200 period Bollinger Band and the 78.6% fib. So those are all my thoughts on stocks, folks. Kind of a mixed bag still, but I do fear and I do think that these markets are probably going, all of them are going bullish. And Bitcoin seems to be implying that too, even though we're seeing rallies in gold and silver. And then I didn't point out copper. We're also long on copper. We got long and we got out at the top there, and I rebought. So this was just that big move. We had two tranches from the bottom here at the moving average, the order block. We got lucky when Trump imposed tariffs on copper trade into the US. The market rallied up, and we got profit. We got out. I got out at 555 precisely, and I got back in at 530. So we're back long on copper, and that looks excellent. Big breakout, and it's moving up. When the market starts moving in a direction, folks, you need to try and be in that direction and not be contrary to it all the time. Retail traders, as I said on X yesterday or Friday, when you see an overbought RSI, stochastic, or MACD, it's like Pavlov's dog's bell for you. So you see an overbought something or an oversold something, automatically you want the market to reverse direction and you get in the other way. And if you've been selling Bitcoin into this rally, like many have. You've just simply been feeding the people that have been buying. Your money is feeding the buyers and the price escalation as the market moves up, because you saw an overbought RSI and you thought it was a good idea to sell Bitcoin at 108. That's what happens. So don't do that. Now, going on to energies, I'm not going to point out too much on here. Uranium, we're still long on URA, looking to get long on URA. Sorry, we were long on URA. We got long right at the bottom. I'm just going to quickly recall these positions for you. Our long position started here. We got out 25, and the balance, the 50 out there. And we're now looking to buy dips back down to about 30, somewhere around there on URA. But we may not get that. We are trading UEC as well. We have long positions on here, one from down there, one from up here, and we're moving up. So although I don't have my URA trade on any longer, we've still got a decent chunk on UEC. Now, Brent crude oil, I'm still short. I'm going to get to natural gas next. Brent crude, I'm still short. We're at the 200 period moving average and the 20 curling down at the resistance, top of Moab, 200 period moving average, 20 period moving average, Fibonacci retracement level, all of that sort of thing. And even better than that, we have a triple top here, which is also a triple tweezer top. Very powerful reversal. We got short on the third tweezer top, and we're still short. Even though we bounced up on Friday, don't worry about that too much. Looking for a move back down to 55, back down to the channel bottom where we got long on the previous occasion, and eventually a breakdown below there, but we'll probably bounce off there to start with. And then natural gas, we've got a falling wedge, and we broke out of the top of the falling wedge. There's the falling wedge, the black lines. We broke out. That's bullish. You can see I've got two short positions. I still have those two short positions. I'm short on natural gas. The average price somewhere in between these two at about 334, something like that. Right. So yeah, you say, well, that's bullish. We broke out. We bounced off the top of that rising wedge, and we're moving up. Yes, in the short term, all very bullish. Look at the longer term picture. We're going to come back to that in a minute. I'm going to go to let's stay on the 4-hour chart. This is the longer term picture, if my charts will update. So we have a move down, big move down, and what looks like a bear flag, all right? Parallel channel, bear flag, and we've broken down through the bottom of it. That's the red, sort of dark red lines. We've broken down through the bottom of that bear flag, and we've bounced back up to the underside of that bear flag. So we're above the rising top of the falling wedge, but the underside of the much bigger bear flag pattern. Bigger patterns, longer-term patterns, outbox, short-term patterns, okay? The falling wedge is a shorter-term pattern than the longer-term apparent bear flag. So we've got a betwixt and between here. And also, by the way, look at what we've got here on the 4-hour chart in between the apex of these two conflicting lines and these moving averages. We're stuck between the 50 above us, the 20 below us. We've also got an expanding pattern here on the 4-hour. And you can see we've got a rising top and a falling bottom, an expanding pattern, a megaphone, a trumpet, a saxophone, and it's a reversal pattern as well. Now, it's occurred at the top of a rally, a short-term rally. Megaphone pattern means a reversal. So all of this to me points out that we probably will gap down on the weekend. That's my best guess. I'm short. And if it doesn't work out like that, we'll have to hedge on Monday or whatever it might be. We'll manage the trade. But I think it's going to gap down. And the last thing I want to point about this is the second last candle on Friday. This big dark cloud cover bearish candle is the predominant candle in the last hours of trading. In fact, the whole day on Friday, the dominant candle was this big bear candle. Yeah, we're stuck between the two, 50 and the 20 moving averages. We're stuck between the bottom of a bear flag potential and the top of falling wedge potential. And there's a much bigger problem than all of that put together. I want to point this out to you. And remember, folks, I'm bullish on natural gas. I believe we're in a $3 to $4 range. And the last couple of years, we're in a $2 to $3 range. I think we've moved up into the $3 to $4 range. But look at this chart. I pointed out previous to you, on many occasions, this head and shoulders, potential head and shoulders, which aims down towards like $2.50 or below. And we've got this flag pattern, which also aims down there. If this is a bear flag, then we have to take the flagpole that leads into it, clone it, and attach it to the end of the bear flag to get a target, just like that. Very simple. And the bottom of that takes us down to 2.6. So using the bear flag, we've got a target of 2.6. Using the head and shoulders, we've got a target of 2.3 or 4. But my view is that we'll be trading between $3 and $4 for the rest of this year. So we have a conflict. I'm short, but my view is long, and we're moving down, and we have two patterns on the chart, which are bearish breakout patterns. So our only savior in all of this, if you are a bull and you're long, or you want to make more sense of it, the only thing we can possibly do, and I think we're going to have to, because everyone's in the same boat as I am, and you are possibly, and even the institutions, everyone that's trading this is in the same boat, thinking, what are we going to do now? I think the easiest and safest bet is for this to move down to $3, a level that everyone knows and trusts and believes in, and we'll then decide whether we're going to be in the $3 to $4 range or in the $3 to $2 range. So I think because of all that, $3 is more likely to be tested next than any other number. So I'm short for $3 from 334-ish, and that's what the chart looks like. Good luck. It's going to be an interesting week, and we're not getting a lot of help from the storage reports. We're not getting a help from the COT report, all quite indecisive. So that's energies, folks. Quickly scanning across. We're long on the South African dollar, South African rand, finally basing. I think this is going up to 20 plus. We're currently trading at 18. I have a long position from 17 and a bit, and from 18.2, and I think we're going up to 20. I think that's a good trade. No reason for that to be so strong. The VIX is moving down. I think it'll carry on moving down. And because it's broken down through this trend line, folks, and if you're a VIX trader who thinks that the VIX can be traded technically like any other chart, which it may well be in your arsenal of stuff, if you think that breakdown of that trend line on the VIX is important and relevant, then the VIX is going down to the bottom of the channel, the beige area right, and that means the stock markets are moving up. So the VIX even is supporting a rally in the stock market if you believe in trendline breakdowns in the VIX, which I don't really. But if you do, that also supports the long stock and long Bitcoin view. And then TLT, I'm long on that, dribbling down again. We talked about that too many times. And then softs and grains, folks. I'm going to scan through this. Video is getting a bit too long. But just to say, we're long on sugar. I love the way this looks. Target the top of this big channel here. And we talk about this in my private group, I think, more this coming week, because there is some movement on some of the commodities. Orange juice, big gap up on Friday, big move up. Cocoa we're short on from that level there. You can check that out on your own charts, looking for a move much lower. We don't have a short on coffee yet, looking to get short at that level over there. You can check that out on your own charts. We have nothing on soya. We're long on wheat, dipped down again on Friday. I still like this chart pattern very much. Big short squeeze coming up, and I think we should see a much higher level in wheat later on. A classic reversal here. This is going to squeeze very hard soon, and I'll be adding longs if and when we do, of course. And then corn, same sort of thing. Long on corn, dribbling down. Don't like it much. We have two very small positions. Having taken profit after the big rally up, we've now started adding those positions back on, and kind of eating, I suppose, into some of the profit we got on the long on the way up. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I think we'll bounce there as well. And then cotton, I also like this pattern. I think we're due for a short squeeze. Folks, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. I'll see you in a live stream. And the announcement today is that I'm starting Ola Prime TV live stream news. I'm hosting the morning show every weekday. Let me get this right, at 8:30 Eastern Time, which is 7:30 Central Time, I think. But it's 8:30 New York on Ola Prime TV here on YouTube. And go and look it up. I'll put the link below. And I hope to see you there. And I'll also be doing my own live stream on Monday, so please come along and make sure you're subscribed. And check out all the links below the channel, folks. There's all sorts of stuff, particularly the Trader's Survival Kit, which is below. A whole bunch of tools and stuff there for you to watch, view, enjoy, and it's all free. There's a link below. Have a great trading day, folks, and I'm really looking forward to a big rally in Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum, and probably the stock markets. And maybe even gold, silver, copper, maybe next week is an everything rally week. It happens sometimes. Take care, enjoy it, be careful.
The new move, watch it flow. Candlestick dance, time it right. Profit romance all through the night. Swing